This morning, Chris has been playing pieces from pictures at an exhibition, and the composer's Modest Mussorgsky. So he wrote this as a tribute to a friend of his who was an artist, and when his artist friend died, they put together an exhibition of over 400 pieces of his friend's works. And as he was kind of strolling through this exhibition, 10 of the pieces especially spoke to Mussorgsky, and he created this suite of music, each different piece really inspired by one of the artworks. And so this morning, we heard at the beginning of worship the promenade, the music moving us from one picture to the next. And then while our children were with us, we heard a piece inspired by an artwork called The Ballet of the Unhatched Chicks. And for the musical reflection, we just heard that lovely piece called The Castle. And out of all 10, we chose these because, well, we couldn't do it without the promenade, of course. And Ballet of the Unhatched Chicks, we love animals at Troop. And hello, we worship in our very own old castle. So we had to pick that one. We had to. Not all of the pieces of art have survived. But one piece called The Catacombs is still in existence. And when you see this piece of art, you see 3 figures. They look like 3 men. They are supposed to be going into, what else? The catacombs. And you see them moving into this space with these, arched ceilings, kind of like we have in here. Creepy. And also one person is carrying a lantern, and so the lantern is like casting out this light in the scene. One person in like very clear relief, and then a couple of the figures really fuzzy and shadowy. It's like hard to get a really clear sense of them. And Chris is going to share The Catacombs now. So can you imagine walking down into the catacombs with that piece of music following you? And one reason we chose it is it's dramatic, but also some of us joke around that our series of 3 basements underneath this building are our very own troop catacombs. I don't think anyone's buried in there, although some of you have been around a long time. Jean, you may have news for us on that front. I mean, if you can imagine, we now have our own soundtrack for people who need to go into one of those basements for something. Imagine it starting to come out of a speaker as people go underneath the building. Some notes I saw online for this catacombs piece, they suggest that there's a merging of the observer and the scene as the observer descends ever deeper down into the catacombs. And that description really stayed with me, especially since in worship this month, we're talking about the emotional threshold spaces in our lives. These threshold spaces are sacred, and they symbolize the permeable boundaries between who we have known ourselves to be in here and this person that is kind of waiting for us to become. Sometimes maybe beckoning to us to hurry up a little bit, even though we're not quite ready to step over that threshold. Many Unitarian Universalists have a theological understanding that God or the holy changes during the course of our lifetimes, and that the mystery and wonder of the universe are continuing to unfold and make themselves known. And many of us carry the same understanding of this unfolding universe. We carry that about our knowledge of ourselves. Unitarian Universalists believe people can change. You can change. I can change. And in our 3rd Unitarian Universalist principle, we even lift it up. We say we encourage each other to spiritual growth. Not spiritual stasis, spiritual growth. And we expect that your inner life and your outer life will continue to develop. My friends, you and I aren't finished. And that may sound really good to you or really scary, but we aren't finished yet. And emotional threshold spaces mark an important movement between the shelter of what we've known and the thrill or anxiety or fear of what is yet to come for us. What is this life? That question's been at the forefront of my mind these past many weeks. And many of you know my mom's been in the hospital since October 2nd, and I've been dividing my time between here and Little Rock, Arkansas, where she is. And I want to give a public acknowledgement to Chris and Liz and Nancy Watkins and the Board of Trustees and other leaders who have just really beautifully held Troop and also held me. We have navigated into this uncertain time. Thank you all so much for that. So going back and forth to Little Rock, I'm getting to know Baptist Health Center way better than I ever wanted to. So as an intrepid vegan, I have now found that there's a little cafe on campus that has a vegan salad, which, come on, salad, no big deal, I know. Boring. But a vegan sandwich, a little bit more exciting. And a vegan double chocolate cookie for the win. Yes, I did it. I have like A+ on the veganism right there. I discovered that there's a tiny little park tucked into a corner of their big sprawling campus, and in that little park, there's not only beautiful trees and some ferns, but believe it or not, a little water feature that trickles out of native Arkansas stones and rambles its way down through the little park. And what a blessing to just be able to go outside and take a breath of air and hear that water. So my mom's room is on the 10th floor, and being high up means that her room has a view of the rolling hills outside of it, and Arkansas is not very developed, so you can just see for miles and miles and miles these like beautiful forests. But being on the 10th floor also means that if I enter the hospital lobby at the wrong time, it means the elevator is full, and it means that we stop on every single floor, from the lobby all the way up to the 10th floor. So squeezed in there with everyone else, as the elevators open on every single floor, and as people tumble out, I get to see an image of that floor right in front of me, and I wonder, what is this life on this particular floor? So intriguing. It feels like my own little tour of pictures at an exhibition, or I might call it portraits of a hospital floor. So floor 3, ding, the doors open, and for a couple of seconds, I see portraits of babies. Actual, real portraits of babies, because that's the maternity floor, and they have the walls filled with photos of babies that have been born in that hospital. Floor 5, ding, the doors open, and for a couple of seconds, I see these muted colors on walls, and I see the word oncology. And I say a quick prayer of healing for all the families whose lives are impacted by decisions made on that particular floor. We go up again, ding, floor 6. It's a chaotic floor. It's a floor where they're doing construction, and there's walls are being taken apart, and there's dust everywhere, and I am for sure not gonna get out on that floor. We go up again, floor 7, ding, the doors open, and for just a couple of seconds, I see this beautiful, elegant, subtle wall made out of gorgeous stone, and I think, that's the fundraising floor. Floor 10, ding, the doors open, and this is my floor. And I see a bank of windows, and again, it's this like beautiful view of the rolling hills of the Ouachita Mountains stretching out as far as my eye can see. And stepping over the threshold of that elevator, I'm no longer seeing pictures from someone else's exhibition. This floor reflects our pictures now. This floor is my mom's reality, and it's mine, and I wonder, what is this life now? It's not the one we had anticipated. Walking down a hallway that now feels as familiar as my floors at home, I hear words that Casa Foot Racer wrote. Behind the past, what's done, and know for good or for ill. Ahead, the future, unknown and waiting, for good or for ill. The next moment comes. Thinking about that painting of the catacombs and the men depicted in it, I wonder about the two that look so fuzzy, as if someone had reached out and erased them with their thumb partially. I wonder, do they symbolize the past? A past that the artist is hoping to forget about or to mute in some way? Do they symbolize the future, a future the artist can't possibly see or know, but perhaps has just a little indication of? And then what of each of us when you find your own self at a threshold in your life, and there are so many that come our way? My guess is each of you navigating your own emotional threshold of some kind right now, moving, illness, loss of a loved one, job insecurity, wondering just what comes next in this life of yours. When you find yourself there, do you act? Do you wait? Do you fall? Or do you leap? Do you perhaps stay a little bit too long on that threshold, maybe trying desperately to merge in with a scene that in fact is changing around you, a scene from the past that's no longer truly yours? Are you feeling fuzzy and blurred? In her memoir, Lillian Hellman describes something called pentimento, and it describes an alteration in a painting. She writes, "Old paint on a canvas, as it ages, sometimes becomes transparent. When that happens, it is possible in some pictures to see the original lines. A tree will show through a woman's dress. A child makes way for a dog. A large boat is no longer on the open sea. When I'm on the threshold, I don't like the uncertainty. Do you? I want to move really quickly. I want to plan. I want to discover. I want to know. I want to dominate whatever that thing is out in front of me." And so as we navigate this uncertainty with my mom, because I can't plan and know and make decisions, there's some despair that comes with all of that. I know some of you have felt that too at different moments of your life. And that despair makes it so much harder to hold onto hope, which intellectually I know is there, but it hasn't made its way into my heart yet. In your own threshold moments, making a change, even a change that you need in order to live a more authentic life, feels really scary. And we ask, what will this new life be? And no one can tell us. Hellman's image of old paint becoming transparent and allowing the original lines to show through, the image of the two men in the picture beginning to blend in with their surroundings. I wonder if the threshold spaces of our lives, even though for some of us they can be uncomfortable, I wonder if sometimes we just need to let ourselves be wholly and fully there, because frankly, we can't get across it any faster than we can get across it. And all the hoping and wishing and striving and being angry in this world isn't going to move us over that threshold any faster. So what would it be like for you, those of you holding a threshold moment? What if your mantra or intention of this week was, I don't have to move over it so fast right now. I'm just going to let myself be here and feel this and reach out to a friend and be vulnerable and take a risk and say, I don't know what to do with all of this that I'm holding right now. What would that feel like and be like for you? I wonder if perhaps if we let ourselves be in that threshold just a little bit longer than is maybe comfortable, if in the midst of the uncertainty or despair or whatever emotion it is that you know that you hold in that moment, if we're there long enough that up out of that grows just a little spark of hope. That's like, yeah, you know what? It is all going to be okay, and we are going to make it across at the time when it's right to make it across. What if for this moment the lines from our past peek through just a little bit, and we know that those lines from the past, they don't define us, but the right lines help lift us up and hold us and make space for that hope and that love to shine so we can get a glimpse of what may indeed be waiting for us right on the other side. David Steindl-Rast wrote in Gratefulness, the Heart of Prayer, there is a close connection between hope and hopes, but let's not confuse the two. We set our hopes on something we can imagine, but hope is for the unimaginable. The opposite of hopes is hopelessness. The opposite of hope is despair. One can cling desperately to one's hopes, But even in a hopeless situation, hope remains open for surprise, and it's surprise that links hope with gratefulness. I know we can do what we need to do to either be in that threshold moment, or if you are ready to take the leap or the fall, that you have the resources, the love, the support right here in this room to do what you need to do. We're going to sing together our closing hymn, I Know I Can, number 1015. And as we sing it, hold in your mind someone you know and love that needs a little bit of your hope and support and love today. Please rise as the Spirit allows.